In April 2017, shortly after he received an Oscar nomination for a short film he produced called La Femme et le TGV, Giacun Caduff agreed to meet and answer questions about filmmaking for Madison, Wisconsin area filmmakers. Giacun has had a lifelong dedication to film. In addition to making and producing films, he founded and runs a very successful film festival in Basel, Switzerland, currently in its 9th year. Giacun also founded a movie camp for youth, teaching future filmmakers some of the basics of film production. Additionally, a number of years ago, he started and continues to operate a drive-in movie theater that brings back some film nostalgia and expands film venues in Switzerland. In the following interview, Giacun discusses his approach to filmmaking, challenges his team overcame to make the film, and some of the lessons he learned on his journey to receiving the Oscar nomination.
So now I have a bag of questions, so I'm gonna answer some questions here. So this might be a rough question. What were the biggest pre-production challenges for this piece? Pre-production challenges? Probably because it was based on a true story, but the nature of the story was that there was a lady who was waving at trains until the train didn't pass by her house anymore. So her whole life changed, like whatever, she was just looking forward to this one wave a day. So for pre-production, the biggest challenge was to find a location, because we couldn't go back to her house because the train wasn't there anymore. So that was like one of the biggest challenges. So we ended up like looking for the perfect location where we had trains go by, but also had the real, like the perfect look. And then maybe we even considered like renting a train, go back to the original location, but that was expensive and the house wasn't really what we were looking for. So we ended up going to France, and we found a house in France with the train, with a city nearby, a little town actually, that we could shoot the rest of the movie. But that meant we needed to build a lot of the locations, like we needed a crew to really go in there to build the bakery, build the inside of the house, the apartment. But it was okay, like, you know, it wasn't that crazy. So this question says, did you know what your festival goals were early in the creative process, and did that affect your creative decisions? Well, we did actually, so good. We did want to go to Locarno Film Festival for the premiere. I mean, we also obviously, like, we were hitting up Sundance, and we were hitting up like Cannes and all these festivals, but I think we knew that Locarno would be the best festival for the project.
And that's in Switzerland, right?
Yeah. Because we knew that the story was Swiss, like, you know, and that's like the festival where there's a lot of audiences, and you know, you could also bring it to Solothurn, where there's a festival, but Solothurn is like, it's more like a showcase, so possibility that you play Locarno and you could still play Solothurn later. There was like Winterthur, short film days. Those guys show very different movies. Even Locarno showed kind of different movies, but we felt like this could be a good audience movie for Locarno.
Yeah, and Locarno, that's in this almost like a French side too, isn't it?
It's in the Italian part, yeah.
Part.
But yeah, it's like there, like, you know, if you're playing in there's like a big square, the Piazza Grande, there's 8,000 people, you know. So we're like, oh, it would be nice to maybe premiere it on this square, you know. We were just thinking big. But then on the other hand, we also thought that would be a little tricky, because you have a world premiere and you need to actually premiere in competition. And Locarno competition, on the other hand, was a little bit tricky, because again, they show different movies, not necessarily as
like,
mainstream.
Do they have a kind of a main style of movie they show, or?
Well, actually, when I saw the films that they programmed, it was very diverse. So I thought that concern wasn't really that big. So so basically, what was in the end, there was no impact in us like doing this, but there was a moment where we could have made a creative compromise, because we had a partnership with the Swiss train company, and they told us that they're gonna have like at the Locarno Film Festival the year like after, we're gonna have a big thing, like a partnership. So we're like, okay, that's convenient, you know, that could be, if they're a partner with us, maybe that can help to, you know, land the movie there. And then we found out it was the opening of the Gotthard tunnel, like the big tunnel that they dug. And
They've
this
been
is
working
huge.
on 20 years.
Yeah, like years, you know, and it was opening the summer, so Locarno would have a special at the festival, big thing, whatever. And we're like, okay, this is nice. But then they told us like, they loved the script and everything, but they said we should consider maybe, instead of setting it in France, setting it in Italy, and we have like the Cisalpino train that goes through the tunnel, and then they can really, you know, help us with this film. And so we thought about this creatively, and we decided, no, we're gonna keep it in France, and we're gonna keep it with the TGV, but still be partner with them. And they're like, okay, that's fine. You know, they didn't wanna back out or anything. But it could have been a creative impact if we had changed it because of that. Probably the movie would have worked, but I'm glad we kept it the way. And in the end, we did premiere in Locarno, which was, you know, partly to the help from the train system a little bit, because they just recommended it. But on the other hand, like, I had to go there and I had to screen the movie. I actually went there with the movie and screened it to the people a half year before.
Wow.
Which is something I recommend. I mean, this is really hard, but if you can get a festival director to come to see your movie in a theater instead of watching it on like a disc that you submit, then I think that's really good.
Is that, I've never heard of that before. Is that something unusual, or is
It is very unusual. I don't think you can really do it, but because we had like the train company recommended it, everybody recommended it, and it was like, then the option, well, we invited them to come to a screening, and they said they can't come to the screening. It's like, okay, what if we come? And then they're like, okay, we do it. But I think that's what I talk about when you say about the partners. Like, if you have those partners that help you push for it, eventually they gave me, you know, an hour of their time, and they looked at the movie. And then they liked it. Danielle, how did you organize the cooperation with the TGV train? There was really no cooperation with the TGV train. The Swiss we had a partnership with, they don't own the train, but we needed the train station, we need to shoot there. And then there's like a Swiss and French owned company called TGV Lyria. And with these guys we could do a partnership that we just get a train to move back and forth at the train station. And for the TGV we tried and contact them, but they didn't really want to do it. So we ended up just shooting next to a track and catching the trains. Yeah. And then before the Oscars, the train company in France, they wrote to us and they're like, hey, but they had no clue. They didn't know that we premiered the movie already, everything. So they wanted to like us to mention something. And then we went to the Oscars, and I have not heard from them ever since. I don't know. It was just this inquiry where they're like, oh, we need to like figure this out now, and then nothing.
Yeah.
Has the nominations opened doors for you? Yes. Especially for the director, a lot of doors. Like, he's got like he has a lot of meetings, he has new projects, everything. So basically, when you get nominated, it's like everybody wants to meet you. For me, producer, I didn't really push it that hard because Timo has gotten a manager, and so they are like pushing his nomination. For me, I just have that. I have that title now, Oscar nominated producer, and I know it's gonna help. Just again, it's always about like sticking out, like, you know, like, so if somebody has to convince somebody to read my film, and they're like, here's the film. They're like, okay, I'm gonna read it, and then they mention that, you know, this is from an Oscar-nominated producer. They're like, oh, okay. It just gives you a little more credibility, and they might be more likely to read it. But
yeah, and it really opens up doors for you, I think.
yeah. It should. So we'll see if that's
for
really
Timo, the director.
it's much more
opportunities here and in other places.
yeah. Everybody wants to do something with him, but that's the game. Like, you know, that's also the game that dies after a while. You know, like because there's going to be the next guy who's nominated. So, but still, I mean, it's you know, for me the most important thing is that I shoot another movie very soon. What was it like starting with a script and moving on to production for this particular piece? And was it different than your other projects? What was it like? I mean, the director sent me the newspaper article and wrote the scripts, and I liked it.
Had you known Timo before?
Yeah, I've known him from the festival.
Okay. From your film festival that you were in Basel?
He came out. It was very organic working with him. Like, we had a very good connection. Like, I could give him a lot of feedback, and he would go back and rewrite, and it was a very organic back and forth. So
in the script development process.
Yeah, it was very nice.
Did he search you out to be the producer?
Yeah, he wanted me to produce it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it. Now I think it's over.
Okay.
It's over.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. There's a few more, but we got through a lot.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now they're all. Oh, we're gonna do this. Cheers.
Thank you very much for all my Wisconsin film friends. Thank you.
Wisconsin. I'll come visit you guys. I'll come out there if I can find this place.